Why you do this? Understand yourself. There's a moment when you know something is true. You feel it clearly, sharply, almost physically. It lands in your body before your thoughts catch up. And then, almost immediately, doubt rushes in and starts tearing it apart. Something in you pulls back. Before you even breathe, before you choose. You might still look confident on the outside. You might even sound certain when you speak. But internally, the signal has already been interrupted. And once it's interrupted, it's hard to hear again. That interruption has a history. You second-guess decisions you already understand. You revisit conclusions you already reached. You replay conversations, wondering if you imagined what you felt. The doubt feels automatic, like muscle memory, like it doesn't belong to this moment. Even when logic supports you, something inside whispers that you're probably mistaken. Not loudly, just enough to make you pause. And that pause slowly erodes trust from the inside. This isn't a confidence problem. It's a trust interruption. When insight appears, the nervous system doesn't ask if it's true. It asks if it's safe. And it answers fast. Your system learned that being certain once had consequences. So now certainty triggers caution instead of confidence. Truth activates memory, and memory overrides logic every time. The trigger isn't being wrong. It's standing alone with your truth. Being the only one who sees it. Being exposed without backup. When your instincts were dismissed, corrected, or punished, your body learned something painful. That trusting yourself could cost you connection. And losing connection felt unbearable. So truth became dangerous. When inner certainty appears, the body tightens. Breath shifts. Thoughts scatter. The system moves into monitoring mode. It starts scanning for flaws. For mistakes. For reasons to stop. This doesn't feel dramatic. It feels like hesitation. Like a pause that stretches too long. Like standing on ground that suddenly feels unstable. So you step back instead of forward. Your nervous system isn't asking, "Am I right?" It's asking, "What happens if I am?" That question changes everything, because the answer used to hurt. If truth once led to conflict, punishment, or emotional isolation, the system learned to doubt early. Doubt became protection, certainty became risk, and risk was avoided at all costs. Many people learned early that their perceptions were inconvenient, too sensitive, too intense, too wrong, so they learned to defer, to wait, to look outside themselves. Over time, that waiting turned into self-mistrust, not because instincts failed, but because listening once hurt. The body remembers the cost, even when the story fades. Eventually, doubt hardens into identity. You may see yourself as unsure, indecisive, or bad at knowing what you want. You might even warn people, lower expectations, stay safe. But this isn't who you are. It's how you adapted when your inner truth wasn't protected. Adaptation looks like personality, and personality hides survival. Patterns like this don't break through force. They loosen through understanding, especially survival patterns, especially this one, especially when it kept you connected. The moment you see self-doubt as protection, not failure, the system softens. It no longer has to fight you. And when the fight ends, awareness expands. Slowly, carefully. Doubt isn't proof that you're wrong. It's proof that trusting yourself once had consequences. That context matters more than accuracy. And it changes the story. When you stop trying to eliminate doubt and start listening to it, its grip weakens. It no longer needs to interrupt every insight, because it finally feels acknowledged. And acknowledgement changes behavior. Transformation doesn't look like sudden confidence. It looks like staying with your truth a few seconds longer, even while fear is present, even while your body protests. Each time you don't abandon yourself immediately, the nervous system updates. It learns that certainty doesn't always lead to danger, that staying is possible, and safety begins to replace fear. Relief arrives quietly, not as confidence, but as steadiness, as less collapse, as less inner chaos. You begin to notice something unsettling. Your instincts were never the problem. The problem was what happened when you trusted them, and separating those two changes everything. Integration means letting doubt exist without obeying it, letting truth breathe without interrogation, letting yourself stand there, without rushing away. This takes repetition. Safety is learned through experience, not insight. And your system needs proof, not promises. Empowerment comes when you stop outsourcing truth, when you pause before asking others to confirm your reality, even briefly, even imperfectly. You don't need certainty to trust yourself. You need presence. You need to stay. That's the skill. At deeper levels, relief feels like coming home, like not abandoning yourself mid-sentence, like staying, even when it's uncomfortable. You realize something devastating and gentle. You were never broken. You were careful, and that care kept you alive. You can't trust yourself now, not because you're wrong, but because trust once hurt. Your system learned caution where safety was missing. That learning made sense. It saved you. Now you get to teach it something new. That truth doesn't have to cost you connection anymore. That you can stand in your knowing and still belong. That you don't have to disappear to stay safe. And that lesson changes everything. You're allowed to trust yourself again. Did that feel familiar? And have you thought about this?